When was the last time you saw an animated movie filled with anthropomorphic animals? Okay. What about one where the protagonist is a plucky young idealist with dreams of setting off from her small town world to change the world in the big city or whatever? Did anybody make this face on the poster? Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Zootopia. Now, since this is a discussion of the film rather than a review per se, I'm going to assume that most of you are familiar with the plot, and therefore there are going to be some major spoilers ahead. And if you aren't familiar with the plot, go look up the summary on Wikipedia or something. The story of Zootopia is a fairly complex and involved one that lives and dies in its world building. Remember that clever little trailer? No, not that one, but the one describing this whole world as a what-if scenario. What if humans never existed and animals were the dominant intelligent creatures, building cities and writing books and all that jazz? That, admittedly, is a clever premise, and the world building in this film is quite involved and at many points more impressive and complex than we've seen in such movies before. But all too often, we're just copy and pasting modern technology and pop culture onto an animal theme with little real variation. I mean, why would a touchscreen be the best system for those clumsy paws and hooves to navigate? More than that, despite the thought that obviously went into this world, there are significant flaws that threaten to invalidate the whole conceit and that horrendous, ham-fisted moral they try desperately to shove down our throats in the third act. To begin, the central conflict of the film, or what morphs into the central conflict, is the relations between predators and prey. The missing person, or otter, in Judy's case, turns out to have reverted to its predatory, animalistic characteristics, thus rendering him a danger to the citizens of Zootopia, and he's not the only one. 14 of these have turned savage, and Judy's mishandling of the issue at a press conference leads to fear of and prejudice against predators. It's these predator and prey relations which are the weak link in this issue-heavy plot. Let's begin with the underlying concept of Zootopia. Unlike many talking animal movies, it acknowledges that its citizens are animals. There are prey and predators, and animals are profiled according to their general species characteristics. But as has been pointed out by several critics, the allegorical thread is rather knotted in places. There is an attempt to provide a parallel to race relations, but it falls flat when applied to animals, for these are the way these animals are hardwired. Tiger eats bunny, or tiger dies. Different races don't have inborn characteristics to violence like that. For all the care evidently lavished in the creation of this world, it fails to hold up as a plausible alternate reality. These creatures are supposed to have lived in harmony in this city, but how can that be if we acknowledge they're animals? What I mean is that these are predators and prey living together. We've seen the prey animals eating grass and fast food cartons and other such sight gags, but what do the predators eat? They're supposed to be living among their own food supply. Are we to presume they've become vegetarians? What do they eat? There's no such parallel among human societies. Cannibalism isn't an ultimate lifestyle. But these animals going savage requires them to do what they must by nature to survive, eat other animals. Unless this film is advocating toward veganism, which I really hope it isn't. Moreover, as Simpsons points out in their video, it's not really a food chain, more a food web. An animal can be both predator and prey, depending on its place in the ecosystem, preying on one kind of animal while being the prey of another. Zootopia favors more ignorant simplicities over these complex realities, but if they want us to take the world this seriously, they need to address at least some of these complexities, and they don't in detriment to the story. And because this film is trying to deliver the more topical and edgy moral, it attempts to be much more self-aware and worldly and mature, you could say, for a Disney film. For example, when Judy talks to her superior about why she went to go chase the weasel instead of do parking duty as she's supposed to, he delivers this joke. And a lot of people thought that was really funny. It's like, yeah, Disney's able to make fun of itself, realizing its own flaws. But the thing is, its attempts to be self-aware fall utterly, embarrassingly flat when it repeats with the utmost serious the typical Disney story beats about believing in yourself, follow your dreams, and all that jazz. So, The problem is, taking into consideration the film as a whole, this joke is not funny. These little in-jokes mean nothing if your story follows the same beats as High School Musical without realizing how contrived and cliched they are. I mean, really, we've seen the plucky young idealist in Disney before. We've seen the snarky, world-weary protagonist. We've even dealt with prejudice and things like that before. This isn't anything new. In being the new topical and edgy Disney film, therefore, it tries to provide some important metaphor about race relations and the danger of prejudice in this country, but not only is it poorly handled, what are these animals supposed to be eating, but it's something that's been done to death. Prejudice is bad. We know. We know that prejudice is bad. It's been hammered into us since we were old enough to watch Nick Jr. But what else can be said about it? Does the application of this moral to a world of anthropomorphic animals aware of their nature as animals somehow bring something new to the table? Does it examine the origin of prejudice, why people have prejudices, and how they emerge? For the most part, I would have to say no. It brings nothing new to the discussion. It has little to impart that we haven't heard before. Moreover, these characters are terribly bigoted to begin with, sometimes in needlessly cruel and violent ways, simply to hammer the moral in further, as when Nick relates his, tragic, sympathetic backstory about being kicked out of the annual version of Boy Scouts for being a fox. Because, see, isn't this bad? You don't want to be like this. What do you know? Because this is bad. We know it's wrong to judge people based on superficial characteristics, and that complexity and nuance lurks just before the surface. At least intellectually, if you don't act like that. And honestly, I could have turned on the Disney Channel to figure that out. Its premise undermines the overarching moral, a moral that has nothing new to deliver in the first place. And that really is my major issue with the film as a whole. The moral is nothing new. The characters are nothing new. The story is nothing new. Nothing but a tired old retreat of children's films and buddy cop movies we've seen 1,000 times before. Even the setting, with some exceptions, is nothing new. The film rehashes the same morals, characters, and tropes we've seen in animated films, thrillers, and cop movies more times than we can count. In a clever, amusing, but not exactly groundbreaking package. And yet, people act as if this movie is Citizen Kane praising it to the skies like a revolution in children's cinema, when really it's the same old thing in a flashy new world. Instead of spending so much effort on backstory no one really cares about and has no bearing on the plot, and shoehorning in ham-fisted political allegories because they're timely and relevant, why not just do what the best animated films have always done? Why not just try and tell a compelling story? Do we need to be so topical? And really, Disney has done something like this before. Back in the 1980s, before The Little Mermaid came out, and between the release of The Jungle Book and The Little Mermaid, Disney was struggling to really get back on its feet after the death of Walt Disney. So, in an attempt to win modern audiences of the 80s over to animated films, they made a certain film you might remember. What was it called? Oh yes, Oliver and Company. Hear me out. The main song of Oliver and Company was contributed by a popular pop star, Huey Lewis. Billy Joel, another music star, contributed the voice of one of the main characters. The film was peppered with contemporary references. The style of music was very, very 80s. And it was a modest success for Disney for that day. But watch it now, and it's almost embarrassing because it's so hopelessly of its time, so hopelessly dated to the 80s. So much so that it loses its universal appeal that Disney is so famous for. That's really what Zootopia is. It's extremely popular right now. It's extremely timely, and the timely jokes are really funny and all that, but in a decade, it's going to be hopelessly dated. Just watch. So that's my unpopular opinion regarding Zootopia. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and let me know what you'd like me to review next.